this podcast. This guy refuses to find a striker. He continues to flip-flop. He continues to throw Jardis in there, who's 14 goals and 68 appearances. That's terrible. It's a terrible ratio of games to goals compared to like all these other strikers on Canada, Mexico. And he throws him out there again yesterday for 70 minutes. Of course they don't score. The guy sucks.
So why do they keep rolling him out there?
He used to coach him. I think he just he's either hooked on him or, maybe they're lovers. I have no idea, but it's embarrassing. You just see it on your TV. Like, this guy's not going to score.
I mean, 80 to 20. You saw the game the other night. 80 to 20 possession. They win 1-0 on
the El Salvador game.
The El Salvador game.
Yeah.
And granted, the El Salvador goalie keeper had a fantastic game, but there were very few really players that would move to get open and have good shots. You could just see it. They are so weak up front. Yeah. It's embarrassing. And you lose 2-0 in Canada. I don't care how well you played.
This is how I know a coach is a tool bag, okay? I know. You'll notice this. When the ball comes over to the...
you can book him on the podcast.
When the ball comes over to the coach who used to play,
yeah,
normal coaches will just stop it with their foot and give it to the guy. Except a rare occasion where it's like really high in the air, and if I just let it go, it's going to bounce into the stand. So out of being polite, they'll stick their foot out and make a phenomenal trap. Everyone's like, geez, that guy. Berhalter goes out of his way to get to the ball so he can show you that he played before. He'll flip it up and pan it to the guy with his foot. Because he's like so insecure in his ability as a coach is to show you, I was a good player once. As soon as I see that on the sidelines, I go, this guy's a dick. And I noticed he did that early twice, and I'm like, I've never been a fan of this guy.
What other ways do you know without talking to somebody?
Ask Crowell if he does that.
All right, I'll ask him. You should have had him on. You're the one who didn't want to have him on.
He was on with me on Soccerhead New England. I had Crowell on.
Yeah, he said that. He said,
"Where do you get your guess, man?"
Remember the Seinfeld with the Merv Griffin set? That's me. To play the music. You ever saw that one? No. Oh, anyway, the people who are listening know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows Seinfeld.
What other indications do I have that I know that the guy's a dick?
Yeah. Plays the same striker over and over.
Okay, so
that's a big
when
deal.
you arrive at the game,
you're
supposed to take the far bench as the home team.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason you want the far bench is the ref likes to look over his right shoulder. So the linesman is always over here and over here. You follow me? If you're looking at the soccer field.
This is good podcasting when people can't see. So
if you approach a soccer field, to your right, and left are the benches.
Yes.
There will be a linesman behind at the bench on the right, and then kitty corner, he'll be on the other side, on that sideline. So the coach knows if I can stand where the linesman is, I can yell in his ear, and he's on and sort of influence him, especially when it's a young kid.
Yes.
So they arrive at your field. You're supposed to have a choice of bench. You want to be behind that guy because personally, I'm not going to bother the linesman.
Gotcha.
But the dick will take that bench, get there early, so he can influence the game.
You mean whichever coach is there first?
Yeah, he's going to have that linesman the whole game.
Yes.
He'll have him for defense and offense.
Right.
You'll never be near him because you'll be down here.
Yeah, I get you.
That's a dick.
It's supposed to be the home team, but you're saying...
Well, if he gets there first, you can't kick him off that bench.
The dick will get there first.
Absolutely.
Why can't you kick him off?
You could, but he's probably not going to move.
Well, isn't he supposed to move? Don't you have... Is it if it's a professional sport?
Oh, in pro, yes. I'm talking about youth soccer. Like high school, you could probably make him say, this is our side.
Right.
But the fact that he got there first and did it, you know what he's up to.
There were so many people in youth soccer.
It's a little gamesmanship.
Playing shenanigans. It's all gamesmanship.
Canada did gamesmanship.
How did they
hear about this?
No.
Did you hear about this? We have a forward named Way.
Yeah.
Right?
Wait.
W-E-A-H.
Okay.
So he got the first shot, right?
Yeah.
And then he got COVID. So he's got the immunity. He has it inside. He's got natural immunity plus one shot.
Yep.
And then they said he's not coming in. So they listed the countries that would have let him play, and there are many. Canada said under our rules, no, you need the second shot. He couldn't play.
Yeah, Canada's got stronger rules than other countries.
That's gamesmanship.
That's gamesmanship?
I think so.
I thought it was public health. I thought it was public health.
But tell about how the Europeans get their players. That's one of our next topics, right?
I thought that was yours.
That was
You
Paul's.
want me to introduce?
Yeah. I was looking at my phone. I was looking at my
so
phone.
a lot of these clubs over in Europe have, along with their academies.
I just want to point this one out. Had we been on the Soccerhead podcast,
Yes,
It would have been a much smoother transition.
it would have been a lot smoother. Jim would have just said, next we're going to talk about how these European leagues deal with this
he
situation.
throws it to himself a lot. in that show.
Personnel. Jim, what do you think?
Let me throw it over there.
And then he says, and then he just pauses, and he says, "That's very interesting, Jim.
Very, very smart point, Jim.
You're probably the greatest soccer mind in the United States today."
That's why he started it, because we weren't telling him that enough, and he needed to hear that.
Remember, we already said soccer goalies have to have a pretty big
Yes.
ego.
Yeah,
So,
good point.
Yeah, so these academies that they have.
You know how I can tell when we're having a really lousy podcast?
What?
When I look over at Dale and he's just completely zoned out.
Dale is able to do it without. He doesn't need to focus. He's the whiz with the buttons.
I know.
Yeah,
It's almost like he sets the buttons at the beginning of the show.
Keep talking. I'm just going to blank you out. No one's going to hear anything. All right. Paul will run it, and Jim will do backup. All right.
You know something? We've seen what happens. Jim throws a question over to Paul. Paul gets confused. He's like, "Why is this man talking to me?" And he just stares at me. I'm like, "I don't know what the question was. I wasn't listening."
Okay, third attempt at starting this. The clubs over in Europe have academies, but they're now starting to have academies here in America to locate young talent at an early age. The question is, if they find that talent, okay, and then they bring it over to their academy over there at a young age, that person can become a citizen of that country if you move there early enough. So we lose that player.
So they're going to So they're going to scout a player in the United States.
Yeah.
They're going to go to Framingham, Mass.
Mm-hmm. They could have an academy in Framingham, for example, yeah. So all these youth kids show up because it's Barcelona, for example.
Right. Oh, so you're saying Barcelona can have?
They can have
They can set up a youth academy in Framingham, just similar to the baseball academies in Dominican Republic, and they can and those players from Framingham become citizens of.
Well, if they ship them over and they say, "I want to play for Barca," and they think they're good enough, and they bring them over there, they can become citizens over there, and you're never going to have that player on your national team.
best part, Paul, tell them the ages.
The ages of what?
Tell them what ages they start.
They start them at
European.
4 years old, right?
4 years old, 6 years old.
I'm still trying to figure out where Barcelona is. So you're saying this.
Between the meat and the cheese aisle there.
So you're saying this. They can take a 4-year-old kid. They can scout a 4-year-old kid in Framingham. They can have an academy in Framingham owned by Barcelona. And if they think that 4-year-old has the ability, they move him over to Spain. They put him in an academy in Spain, and that's where he lives out the remainder of his life.
He could opt. He could say, "I want to stay a U.S. citizen and play for the U.S." But if you're that good, let's say he's the next Messi, I think he's going to play for Spain, don't you?
Definitely going to pay. And there's a financial rewards, too, for the parents and the kids. And they're shopping here to help over there. Because, you know, we're big in the U.S., though, Dave, of playing multiple sports, remember? That's been the mantra for about 15 years now. You should be playing several sports. Don't focus in on one sport.
That's been the mantra for 30 years.
Over there,
Yeah.
you focus on soccer.
Yeah.
Right, like Hope Solo was soccer and boxing. She did too.
I get it.
No, the benefit.
Was that boxing point a double entendre as well? I just want to make sure.
So the benefit, I guess, is if you have a group of young players, who would you rather have overseeing their development? Greg Braholster of the U.S., or do you want their guys? So I think if they take the number one player and bring him over, there's still other players in that academy. You might say, well, we still have some good youth players coming up thanks to their development.
Yeah.
They know how to develop.
Another analogy would be like about 20 years ago when we were young kids, having a Canadian team, the Montreal Canadiens having a hockey club for you to try out in, and they say, "Hey, Mr. Rattigan, you look like you can play. We want to take you to Canada to train you."
Yeah.
You're doing a heartbeat.
Yeah.
If you're a parent of Dave Rattigan, you're going to Canada because that's the hotbed of hockey. Obviously, it's balanced recently because U.S. is pretty damn good at hockey now.
Right.
But that's what's happening. They're stealing our better youth.
Fascinating.
To contrast that with El Salvador, who you mentioned we beat the other night,
Yeah.
they are on Twitter. I'm not kidding. asking if anyone wants to try out. That's how they're recruiting on Twitter. El Salvador's looking for players for our national team.
And we only beat them 1-0.
Yeah, I know.
That's fascinating. So they got them on Twitter. Here's the thing about these academies. I would think if you open the Barcelona. So let me ask you this: I open the Barcelona Sports Academy in Beverly. And I say I'm looking for the top players to be trained by top Barcelona coaches in soccer, and the best ones will be taken to Spain and converted. And
your email inbox would be fuller than soccerheadsnewengland@gmail.
So
see, that joke would have happened. That joke would have happened at the Jim Ruberti Soccerhead podcast.
So this is why he started his own podcast. Because you make fun of him. Because you make fun of him. The poor guy hasn't slept in 28 hours now.
So let's go back to you. Yes.
Hold on. Let's talk about this. So I've got my academy.
Yeah.
And I'm saying Barcelona, blah, da, 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 da. So how many of those parents are paying me? And how many am I subsidizing?
It was in your article, actually, that you had sent, Paul, about the dollar amounts. And they're trying to make it like half price for really good ones.
But obviously, if they find the next Messi, they don't care if they're dirt poor. They're going to make sure that he ends up. I mean, Messi's from Argentina and yet went over there as a child. So, I mean, when they see it, they.
Right, but we're not talking about, let's put it this way. Let's say I'm running a soccer academy and I'm saying I've got, whatever the organization is. Well, let's just say it's Barcelona. You're a soccer parent. You want your kid to do as well as he can. You think to yourself, this is the place for me to send my kid. I'm going to basically make the money from you and from you and from this person and from this person, this person for this person. It's a money-making enterprise, is it not?
Of course.
It's going to make money. They're going to build their fan base.
Yeah, but I think you're turning that into a business, though, Dave. So they're not going to just take everybody.
No, they're not going to. Well, wait.
Pay. They're gonna. It's a developmental league. They're
right.
It's a talents and see if you.
Hold on. Here's the thing. You're gonna have. Let's say I'm gonna just. I don't know if these numbers are right, but let's say for my what's my lowest tier team. Have these people come to my academy. Am I going to take like 4 teams worth of kids? Am I going to take 1 team worth of kids? Have I got 100 kids in my academy, or do I have 20 kids in my academy?
I mean, it depends on the size of the area you're training in, and it depends on.
Are we going to play each other all the time, or are we going to play against? Okay, so we're going to play. So it's going to be like the tennis academies where you're playing against the best players, and that's what makes you better. Obviously, what I'm going to do is this is a money-making enterprise. It's going to make money for the Beverly Barcelonas. It's going to train the kids. It's going to make money for Barcelona because I'm going to be kicking them some money from my franchise fee. And they're also going to be picking up world's fans, international fans. And then if I've got a kid who's good enough, that kid winds up leaving his country, going over to Spain, and being trained as a spy. Am I following this correctly?
Possibly.
A spy for Spain.
This is why I do this stuff alone now.
You can do the same thing without opening something over here, but you spend the same amount of money flying them back and forth. Why not just have them here and then have them in the academy in Spain when you realize they're good enough?
Yeah, if you've got a kid who's good enough. But I mean, what are we talking about? Are we talking about like 1 kid? Are we talking about 10 kids? Are we talking about 100 kids?
If you open camps around America, like 5 or 6 facilities, you'll find players.
You're going to find players whose parents are willing to send them away to live in Spain, speaking a language.
Yeah, I think
Spanish that they'll never use in America.
If they walk through the door on day one, yes,
one,
they're
right.
willing to do that. I would imagine.
Really?
100% agree, especially with the name Barcelona. They're going to handpick these kids. They're not just going to take a little average Joey. They're going to make sure that their investment of time is worth it. So you could have 2,000 kids try out for Beverly,
right?
And they take 1.
I'll give you one example. There's a kid who plays for BC. Okay.
Yep.
Boston College.
I know what BC is.
And
BC.
Stop it.
There's so many BCs out there. British Columbia?
When he was 9 or 10.
Bates?
He was playing
Bentley?
for what's called the ODP, which is the state team.
Yes.
He was Jared's teammate, my son. And every once in a while he would be missing. Like Jim misses the podcast. He would miss practice.
Okay.
Every once in a while I'd say, where was so-and-so? And say he was acting. The kids are amazed at this. He was over at the Barcelona Academy this weekend. Like, Barcelona Academy? His parents flew. Yeah, Barcelona's interested in him. and then he would miss another one, and then they would go to a tournament in New Jersey. He couldn't make it because he was back in Barcelona. So I kind of followed him, and he ended up playing in Europe, some team in Romania, but he says he didn't get paid. That's why he's at BC now